Now, if you're visiting for the first time, we are divided into districts, and the first district you will see will be Botany. Think about this, 300 years of American history, the only place in the United States where you can see this. Henry Ford was born in a little white farmhouse on July 30th, 1863, in the upstairs bedroom. This home was originally 2.5 miles east of here.
We're going to say goodbye to Marianne, our conductor, and also to Bob, our station master. Thank you so much for helping everybody get on board safely and getting us out. We are now in Railroad Junction District. The Smith Creek Station Depot, you see, was built in 1858 for the Grand Trunk Railway. Smith Creek is located about 10 miles west of Port Huron. A station master's job was very busy, so he had a home to live in as well as a place to work because he worked 24/7. Henry Ford had this brought here in 1928 because he learned it had a young Thomas Edison connection. Go inside, we have a presenter there who will tell you about that young Henry Ford, young Thomas Edison connection. Across the street from us is the Edison Illuminating Power Plant from Detroit. Henry Ford had his very first professional job as a steam engineer. And then we have the Detroit Central Marketplace built in 1861. We are going to have special activities on July 15th and 16th. Please join us that weekend. We'll have vendors coming in with their wares. We will also have cooking demonstrations and activities for the children. Next to us is the Detroit Toledo Milwaukee Roundhouse, built in the year 2000, but it was made to look like one from Marshall, Michigan in 1884. And in front of it is the Pierre Marquette turntable, built in 1901. That's how we get our locomotives and other rolling stock in and out of the roundhouse. Our next district takes us into Liberty Craftworks, where you can see glass blowing, pottery making, weaving in a printing shop. And our artisans are working just like they did back in the 1880s. Today at the glass shop, we have a special artisan, and her name is Jen Eliff, and she's working on some fabulous glass pieces. This is the Davidson Gerson Gallery of Glass, where you can see glass pieces from the 1700s all the way to modern day. We are now entering into our working farms district. Here you'll be able to enjoy the sight, sounds, and smells of a real working farm. A farmhouse that you see up ahead from Columbia and Ohio, built in 1828, happens to be the birthplace of Harvey Firestone. That is the Firestone farm that we are entering into. We show life like that of 1885 on a farm. Our staff are working on using the same tools and implements they would have on that farm. Visit the barn and see how animal husbandry is working. We have some piglets, some baby lambs. We have horses, chickens, and one of our staff right there, one of our farmers are there. We see him in the field. And what he's doing, he's moving up the mounds of dirt. Those are potatoes that are growing there. Take a look over to your right. You see our baby lambs? They're about 2 months old. Those are merino. That means that they have wrinkly skin. And maybe you have a cloth, a fabric, a scarf, something that's made of merino wool. You have these sheep to thank for them. And there's some over on the left in the field grazing. That gray building you see there, that's the agricultural soybean lab. And there you can see some historic farm equipment. We are now coming into the Firestone station. Keep your hands inside. The engineer will set a brake, and then he's going to give us the song of a single whistle that lets us know it's safe to come off the train. Should you be deboarding, you're going to exit to your right side, and we're here for about 8 minutes. Not sure where to go? Do stop over at the Firestone Farm. They're getting ready for their midday meal. Take a look inside the home, what kind of chores they're carrying on, and then visit the barn with our farm animals. As we pull away, we're going to say goodbye to Kaylee, our station master. You did a beautiful job here, getting everybody on board and getting us out right on time. Appreciate it. Greenfield Village today, you entered into over 300 years of American history. That was the dream of Henry Ford. He wanted a place where everybody could come and see those who lived long before us, what they made with their hands and used with their hands, so that you might be inspired. I hope something sparks your imagination sometime today.
They said that you have to sit on your butt.
The village is divided into 7 different districts. The very first one is the Henry Ford Model T. Over to the left is a white farmhouse. It's the birthplace of Henry Ford, born on July 30th, 1863. Upstairs, the oldest of 5 children. After visiting there, take a short walk over to the Ford Motor Company. Learn how he came up with the vision of a motor car back in 1908. The Model T, it changed our world of transportation forever. And then take a ride on one of our Model Ts sometime today, before 3 o'clock. We close at 3 o'clock today. We have a Salute to America program starting this evening. Main Street's our next district, where you can visit the home of the Wright Brothers and the Wright Brothers Cycle Shop, the birthplace of aviation from Dayton, Ohio. It was 120 years ago that they took that first flight at Kitty Hawk. Mrs. Cohen's millinery shop is located here. Our staff are making hats just like she did back in the 1890s, and the art of purchase. Visit the H.J. Heinz house, the place where he made that first bottle of horseradish, and it spun off into 57 varieties. Take a ride on the Herschel Pullman Carousel, built in 1913. It's not every day that you could ride on a 110-year-old artifact. It has a menagerie of animals to choose to ride. In front of us is our Edison at Works district, our Menlo Park. Over to the far left is our machine shop, and then in front of us, the 2-story building. It's upstairs that we refer to it as the Invention Factory. Edison worked on the incandescent light bulb, the phonograph, improving on the telephone and the telegraph. Since 1876 to 1882, he received 420 patents while working here. Single men that worked for him would rent a room over at Sarah Jordan's boarding house. It's that yellow mustard home that you see on your left. It made history. It was the very first home in the entire world that was fitted for electric lights back in 1879. Going inside, you'll see the wires as they lined the walls and ceilings. And when he wintered in Florida, he continued working at his Fort Myers laboratory from 1886 until 1931. Here he perfected the wax phonograph. We're coming into our porches and parlors district. Here you can just stroll down the streets. Enter into the homes. We have presenters who will tell you who once lived in them. We have the home of Robert Frost, the poet, wrote The Road Not Taken. Noah Webster's home. He's the person who came up with the American Dictionary of the English Language back in 1828. And we also have in the far back corner the Cotswold Cottage, built in 1619 from Chatsworth, England. Henry Ford purchased that limestone structures for his dear wife Clara. We are now coming into the Susquehanna station. Remain seated. The engineer will set a brake and give us the sound of a single whistle that lets us know it's safe to come off the train. You're going to deboard to your left side at this station. We'll wave hello to Gordon and Gregory, our station masters, as we pull in.
There's another stop we can get off on. If you want to ride the train longer.
And we're going to say goodbye to Gordon and Gregory, our station masters. Thank you for making sure we got on board safely and we got everybody out on time. Over to the left is the Susquehanna Plantation from St. Mary's County, Maryland, built in 1854. It was 700 acres big back in the day, and tobacco was the cash crop. They also grew wheat and corn. The Carroll family owned this plantation, and they also owned 65 African Americans that they enslaved to do all the work. Do visit inside, and a presenter there will tell you about the hardships that they endured. Next is that our oldest American home, built in the 1700s from Sudbury, Massachusetts. It's a one-room home, and Mr. and Mrs. Clinton raised 7 children in that house. Imagine that. And then we have the Ferris windmill, built in 1650 from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It's the oldest standing windmill in the United States, and it was a gift to Henry Ford. Our Daggett Farmhouse from Andover, Connecticut was built in 1754 before the American Revolutionary War. Our staff over there is more than happy to tell you about the heating and cooling system in their home and the raised garden beds that we have there. Sit down, young man. Walk on straight feet and make sure you stay seated. Over to the left, we have our pasture for our Percheron and draft horses and Morgan horses. They're getting a little rest and relaxation after pulling wagons and cows around the village. And there's some wild turkey there visiting us too. Don't get any thoughts, it's only July. The locomotive that's pulling our train right now is called the Baldwin No. 7, built by the Baldwin Locomotive Company in 1897. This locomotive was part of the Detroit and Lima Northern Railway. The Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton Railway took over possession of that in 1914. Henry Ford purchased that railway back in 1920. He used it while he was building the museum and the village. When he sold it in 1929, he kept this locomotive for his own personal use. It helped to move his passenger car called the Fairlane. Steam locomotives operate on just coal and water. Coal is fed into a firebox where the temperatures get extremely hot. Hot enough to heat the water in the boiler, converting it into steam. That steam then moves into pipes that lead to cylinder valves that lead into the pistons, and that moves the wheels. Eventually, that's how the steam locomotive works. As we move into our wildlife preserve, sit back and enjoy some of the sounds that a steam locomotive makes. Maybe we'll see some white-tailed deer or rabbits, maybe some more wild turkey. American Innovation is an independent educational nonprofit organization. It does not receive any funding from the Ford Motor Company or from the Ford Foundation. Instead, it relies on ticket sales from people like you who come out to the village and the museum. We thank you so much for your support. We sure hope you're having a fun time, and let's hear it if you're enjoying your holiday weekend here at Greenfield Village. Thank you so much. Tonight is the last night for our Salute to America here at Greenfield Village. It'll start at 5 o'clock, ending at 10. We have the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, who will be playing throughout the village with little ensembles beginning this evening. You can stroll through the village, and then at 8:30 p.m. they will be collectively over at our Village Green stage, where they will be performing for a large audience. They will culminate their concert with the Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. A cannon will be shot, and then beautiful fireworks will begin. Tickets are still available should you want to come. Next to us is the Walnut Grove area, where historic baseball season is already underway. They play according to the 1867 rule book. Our teams, the Lottie-Dots and the Nashville, play against other Midwestern teams. Some of the rules for that are no spitting, no cursing, and no gloves. Our players do not wear gloves when they catch those fly balls. Games are always on the weekends. First pitch is at 1:30 p.m. You do not need a special ticket to attend. Next to us is the Henry Ford Academy High School that was built in 1997, a charter school that specializes in the STEAM program: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We had over 500 students in attendance this past school year. The 9th graders had classes over at the museum, and 10th through 12th graders over here. Henry Ford believed that learning to do is by doing. Our students can take what they studied in the classroom and then go into the village or the museum and see it firsthand. These vintage Pullman cars just up ahead were converted into classrooms, and they're always reserved for the seniors. And to be a student here, one must live in Wayne County, Michigan. After submitting an application, it's the luck of the draw, in which you're able to attend high school here 4 years, and it's all tuition free. Lagoon, you can see some turtles there sunning themselves. It helps to mitigate any flooding that we might get from heavy rains, and we certainly have that our share. The water level looks very high. To the left and up the hill is a chapel that Henry Ford built in honor of his mother-in-law, Martha Bryant, and his mother, Mary Ford. Since 1930, many wedding ceremonies have been celebrated there. The Scott Settlement Schoolhouse, a one-room classroom, built in 1861 from Dearborn Township, is where young Henry Ford and his siblings attended. We have the Logan County Courthouse, built in 1840 from Coatesville, Illinois. Young Abraham Lincoln practiced law on those very footboards. Go inside these structures. We have presenters there will tell you more about the history of those places. Taste of History restaurant is located next to us. If you're looking for a place to dine, I highly recommend it. The food is locally sourced, brought in fresh daily. Recipes coming from our historic homes here. They'll continue serving meals until 3 o'clock. And that white structure next to it is the Eagle Tavern restaurant. When you walk into their doors, you walk into 1850 with waitstaff handing you a menu with food selections that were popular then. They will continue serving meals until 3 o'clock. We're coming into the Smiths Creek Station. Please remain seated. The engineer is going to set a brake and give us the sound of a single whistle that lets us know it's safe to come off the train. If you're deboarding, you're going to exit to your left side, and we're here for about 4 minutes. We're going to say hello to Mary Ann, our conductor. She's going to take over for me, and Bob, our station master, is here as well. You're just a short walk from the Herschel Spillman Carousel. Take a ride on that today.
So think about that, how much fun that would be to have your classes here. And we are coming up to the railroad crossing.
I hope that you were inspired by something that you saw here today at Greenfield Village. And don't be strangers, come back again. The village is the districts, the very first one is the 104 mile Happy birthday is born on the 2nd